The phrase protect yourself is something we hear almost daily. It might come from a parent's gentle reminder. Take care of yourself when you're out, a friend's advice during a tough time, or messages from large-scale public campaigns aimed at raising awareness. But beyond the words, what does it actually mean to protect yourself? At its core, self-protection goes far beyond just avoiding physical harm. While it's important to be cautious of dangers like theft, traffic accidents, or physical violence, the concept of self-protection today has expanded to include much more. It involves safeguarding your mental and emotional health, your boundaries, your reputation, your rights, your privacy, and your core values. In the modern world, where people are constantly exposed to social pressures, work-related stress, online interactions, and societal expectations, the threats we face are no longer just physical. They are also emotional, psychological, and even digital. Being safe now includes protecting ourselves from manipulation, burnout, cyberbullying, toxic relationships, misinformation, and loss of identity in the age of constant comparison. That's why learning how to protect yourself is no longer a passive habit, it's a life skill. And like any skill, it requires awareness, practice, and sometimes the courage to say no, set boundaries, ask for help, or walk away from unhealthy situations. In an age where the lines between public and private are increasingly blurred, taking care of yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. 2. Physical self-protection. It's not just about martial arts. When people think about protecting themselves, the first image that often comes to mind is learning martial arts. Its true martial arts can be an effective and empowering way to defend yourself. For many, it provides not only physical skills, but also confidence and discipline. However, the reality is that not everyone has the time, resources, physical health, or interest to enroll in self-defense classes or commit to a martial arts routine. The good news is that physical self-protection is not solely about fighting or knowing combat techniques. In fact, the most effective form of physical self-defense is often prevention learning how to avoid dangerous situations before they escalate. The goal is not to win a fight, but to stay safe and avoid confrontation whenever possible. Here are some key principles of physical self-protection that anyone can learn and apply. 1. Environmental awareness. One of the most fundamental skills for staying safe is simply being aware of your surroundings. This doesn't mean living in fear, but rather staying alert and observant. For example, when walking alone, especially at night or in less populated areas, stay off your phone and avoid wearing headphones with loud music. These can isolate you from your environment and make you an easy target. Notice the people around you, possible exits, and anything that seems out of place. Is someone watching you too closely? Are you being followed? Is there a place you can go for help if needed? Trust what you see and don't downplay suspicious behavior. Awareness is often your first line of defense. 2. Maintaining safe distances. Personal space isn't just a matter of social etiquette, it's also about safety. When interacting with strangers or in uncomfortable situations, try to keep a reasonable distance, even in conversation. This gives you space to move, react, or run if needed. Be cautious in confined areas like elevators or crowded public transport. If you feel unsafe, it's okay to step away or ask for help. Be cautious in confined areas like elevators or crowded public transport. If you feel unsafe, it's okay to step away or ask for help. 3. Trusting your intuition. We often underestimate the power of instinct, but your gut feeling, your intuition, is a result of your brain processing subtle cues you may not consciously recognize. If something feels off, it probably is. If someone's behavior makes you feel uneasy, even if they haven't done anything overtly wrong, don't ignore that feeling. Don't worry about being polite if it means compromising your safety. It's better to leave a situation early than to wait and hope things get better. If you ever feel you're being followed, go into a well-lit public place and alert someone immediately. 4. Learning basic emergency skills. You don't need to be a paramedic or a black belt to protect yourself. A few basic skills can make a huge difference. First aid knowledge. Learn how to treat minor injuries, control bleeding, or respond to someone fainting. These skills are not only useful in emergencies but can also save lives. Use of everyday objects for defense. If needed, you can use items you carry daily to help defend yourself or create a distraction. Your house keys, a flashlight, a pen, a water bottle, an umbrella, or even a whistle. Self-defense tools, if legal. Consider carrying a whistle, pepper spray, or personal safety alarm. Make sure you know how and when to use them properly, and ensure they are legal in your country or region. Know how to call for help. Memorize emergency phone numbers and practice what to say in an emergency. If your phone has emergency call functions, learn how to use them quickly and discreetly. 5. Planning ahead. Prevention is most effective when it's proactive. Some habits that support physical safety include sharing your location with a trusted friend or family member if you're going somewhere unfamiliar, letting someone know your plans when traveling alone, especially at night, avoiding shortcuts through alleys or isolated areas even if they seem faster, keeping your phone charged and accessible, not buried deep in your bag. 3. Emotional self-protection, a survival skill in the modern age. Have you ever felt emotionally drained after scrolling through social media? Perhaps you've read a string of negative comments, absorbed someone else's anger, or found yourself feeling anxious or inadequate without really knowing why. In the digital age, we're not just bombarded with information, we're also constantly exposed to a flood of emotions, opinions, and social expectations. Without learning how to filter and manage this emotional overload, we risk becoming overwhelmed, manipulated, or even emotionally burned out. That's why emotional self-protection is no longer a luxury, it's a vital life skill. At the heart of emotional self-protection lies the ability to set healthy emotional boundaries. This means recognizing your limits and having the courage to say no when needed. Whether it's distancing yourself from toxic conversations, limiting your emotional exposure to people who frequently hurt you, or simply choosing not to engage in drama, boundaries help protect your inner peace. It also involves knowing when and how to share your feelings, and with whom. Not everyone deserves access to your most vulnerable thoughts. Sharing wisely is not about being closed off, but about choosing safety and mutual respect. Another critical skill is learning not to internalize or absorb other people's emotions. Just because someone is angry, upset, or acting out doesn't mean it's your job to fix it, or worse, to feel responsible for their emotions. Emotional self-protection means understanding the difference between empathy and emotional enmeshment. You can care for others and offer support without carrying their burdens as your own. This is especially important in relationships or work environments where guilt tripping, emotional manipulation, or passive aggression can blur the lines of responsibility. Letting go is also a powerful act of emotional defense. Not every disagreement needs to be settled. Not every insult deserves a response, and not every unfair situation can be made right. Sometimes walking away or choosing silence is the most protective thing you can do for your well-being. Holding on to anger or trying to win every argument can trap you in cycles of unnecessary stress. Learning to let go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about your mental peace to prioritize it. Finally, it's important to regularly cleanse your emotional system, what we might call an emotional detox. Just like your body needs rest and recovery, so does your mind. Practices like meditation, journaling, spending time in nature, exercising, or simply taking a break from social media can help you reset. Disconnecting from the constant noise allows you to reconnect with yourself. This intentional time away from external stimuli can help you process feelings, gain clarity, and rebuild emotional resilience. In a world where we're constantly plugged in and emotionally overstimulated, protecting your inner world is not weakness, it's wisdom. Emotional self-protection isn't about becoming hard or cold. It's about staying grounded, intentional, and compassionate toward yourself. By developing these habits, you create space not only for personal healing and growth, but also for deeper, healthier relationships with others. 4. Psychological self-protection, don't let yourself fall into crisis. Psychological crises don't always appear as dramatic breakdowns. More often, they manifest quietly lingering feelings of sadness, a persistent lack of motivation, emotional numbness, or the haunting sense of being invisible even in the midst of crowds. These subtle signs can build up over time, especially if ignored or dismissed. In today's high-pressure, hyper-connected world, maintaining mental well-being has become a long-term, ongoing process, one that requires patience, self-awareness, and gentle but consistent care. Psychological self-protection is not about avoiding discomfort altogether, but about developing habits and mindsets that prevent emotional exhaustion and promote mental resilience. One of the foundational steps in protecting your psychological health is recognizing your personal limits. Many people push themselves beyond what's sustainable, working too many hours, trying to meet everyone's expectations, or constantly striving to do it all. While ambition and commitment are admirable, pushing yourself without rest or reflection can lead to burnout, anxiety, and even depression. Learning when to pause, when to say enough, and when to put yourself first is not a weakness. It's a powerful form of self-respect. Setting these boundaries helps preserve your emotional energy and mental clarity in the long run. Another essential strategy is building a reliable support system. No one is meant to go through life alone, and seeking help is not a sign of failure. Whether it's a close friend who truly listens, a family member who offers comfort, or a licensed mental health professional, having people you trust can make an enormous difference. Don't hesitate to reach out. Sometimes simply being heard and validated can bring immense relief and prevent feelings from spiraling out of control. If needed, therapy can provide a safe, judgment-free space to explore your emotions, understand your behaviors, and develop healthy coping mechanisms. Psychological self-protection also involves developing self-awareness, the ability to check in with your emotions regularly and ask reflective questions like, what am I feeling right now? What's really affecting my mood today? Or what do I need at this moment? These simple questions help you reconnect with yourself and identify emotional imbalances early before they grow into deeper problems. Self-awareness can also help you recognize patterns, such as people, environments, or habits that consistently drain or destabilize your mental health. Moreover, it's important to learn how to recover from psychological wounds. Life inevitably brings hardship, loss, failure, trauma, rejection. But while pain is often unavoidable, suffering doesn't have to be permanent. Developing emotional recovery skills is a key part of protecting your mental health. This might include learning to reframe negative thoughts, practicing self-compassion, or engaging in guided therapy techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, or mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR. Reading books on psychology, attending workshops, or simply creating space for reflection can also be part of this healing journey. In the end, psychological self-protection is not about building walls. It's about creating healthy frameworks within which you can process emotions, cope with stress, and regain strength. It's about knowing when to push forward and when to step back. And perhaps most importantly, it's about giving yourself permission to be human, to feel, to struggle, to rest, and to grow. Protecting personal boundaries, learning to keep the right distance at the right time. The concept of personal boundaries is still relatively unfamiliar in many Asian cultures, where close-knit communities and family-oriented values are emphasized. In such environments, being open, available, and self-sacrificing is often seen as a virtue, and the lines between individuals can easily become blurred. However, in today's globalized and increasingly fast-paced world, learning how to set and protect personal boundaries is not only important, it's essential for emotional balance, mental clarity, and overall well-being. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about defining where you end and someone else begins, so that healthy, respectful relationships can thrive. Personal boundaries come in many forms: emotional, physical, digital, and even ideological. One of the most fundamental is the right to private space. No one, regardless of their relationship to you, has the inherent right to invade your privacy. This includes going through your phone, reading your messages, or pressuring you to reveal personal details that you're not ready or willing to share. Being transparent is a choice, not an obligation. True connection is built on mutual respect, not coercion or guilt. Time is another critical boundary that is often overlooked. Your rest, your alone time, and your moments of solitude are not luxuries, they are necessities. Whether it's a demanding boss, a friend who constantly needs your attention, or a partner who assumes 24/7 availability, it's important to protect your right to disconnect and recharge. You are not responsible for being emotionally or physically available to others at all times. It is okay to say, "I'm not available right now," or "I need some time for myself." In fact, setting time boundaries allows you to show up more fully and intentionally when you do engage with others. Perhaps one of the most important boundaries to defend is your core values and life choices. In a world where everyone seems to have an opinion, especially about how you should live, vital to stay grounded in your own beliefs and decisions. Whether it's your stance on marriage, your choice to have or not have children, your career path, or the way you choose to spend your free time, these are deeply personal aspects of your identity. You don't owe anyone an explanation, and you certainly don't need to conform to social expectations just to avoid criticism. Respecting others' choices begins with respecting your own. Establishing boundaries, however, doesn't always come naturally, especially if you've been raised to prioritize harmony or have been conditioned to associate boundaries with selfishness. But the truth is, boundaries are a form of self-respect and relationship care. They protect your energy, preserve your peace, and help others understand how to engage with you in a healthy way. They also create space for authenticity, allowing you to be yourself without fear of being overridden or judged. Learning to set and maintain boundaries is a skill that evolves over time. It may involve uncomfortable conversations, saying no more often, or walking away from situations that constantly violate your space. But with practice, boundaries become empowering rather than alienating. They help you build stronger, more respectful connections, not just with others, but also with yourself. Vi. Online self-protection, a survival skill in the digital age. The internet has become an inseparable part of modern life. It offers us endless opportunities to connect, learn, work, and express ourselves. Yet behind the convenience and innovation lies a complex and sometimes dangerous landscape, from scams and phishing attacks to identity theft, cyberbullying, and digital surveillance. The online world can pose serious threats to your privacy, safety, and mental well-being. In this era of digital dependence, knowing how to protect yourself online is no longer optional, it's a critical survival skill. One of the most basic but often overlooked principles of online safety is practicing discretion. Sharing too much personal information online, such as your home address, daily routines, vacation plans, or photos of family members, especially children, can open the door to unwanted attention or malicious intent. What seems like an innocent post can be exploited by strangers, scammers, or even people within your social circles. Before posting anything, ask yourself, does this reveal more than it should? Could this information be used against me? Another essential habit is being cautious with links and file attachments. Cybercriminals often disguise malicious software behind legitimate-looking emails, messages, or websites. Even if a link is sent by someone you know, it's best to double-check before clicking, especially if the message seems out of character or overly urgent. Avoid downloading files from unverified sources, and be wary of too good to be true offers or alerts that play on fear to provoke impulsive reactions. Protecting your accounts and digital identity is another cornerstone of online self-defense. Use strong, unique passwords for every platform and enable two-factor authentication, 2FA, wherever possible. Never reuse the same password across multiple accounts. This is one of the easiest ways for hackers to gain access to your digital life. In addition, regularly review the privacy settings of your social media accounts and limit who can see your personal data, posts, or contact details. Emotional safety in digital spaces is just as important as technical security. When facing negative comments, online harassment, or personal attacks, it's crucial to maintain composure. Reacting in anger can escalate the situation and give trolls the attention they seek. Instead, take a calm, measured approach. Block or mute the offending user. Report the abuse to platform moderators. And, if necessary, document the behavior in case it needs to be addressed legally. Protecting your peace of mind online means choosing your battles wisely and not giving power to those who aim to provoke you. Finally, develop the ability to filter the content you consume. Not everything you see online is true, and much of what is shared, especially on social media, is designed to manipulate emotions or reinforce certain biases. Learn to question the credibility of sources, cross-check facts, and avoid echo chambers that distort reality. Curate your digital environment by following accounts that uplift, inform, or align with your values. This not only protects your mental space, but also helps build a more positive and balanced online experience. In the digital age, your online presence is an extension of yourself, and it deserves the same level of care and protection as your physical and emotional well-being. Being mindful, skeptical, and proactive can go a long way in keeping you safe. Technology will continue to evolve, but the principles of digital self-defense remain constant. Stay alert, stay informed, and stay in control of your digital footprint. Self-protection doesn't mean shutting yourself off. There is a common misconception that people who practice self-protection are cold, rigid, overly suspicious, or emotionally closed off. Some may even assume that setting boundaries or prioritizing oneself is a sign of selfishness or distrust. But in reality, nothing could be further from the truth. True self-protection is not about building walls to keep the world out. It's about creating a foundation of safety and self-respect that allows you to engage with life more openly, more freely, and more intentionally. When you know how to protect your well-being, you're not living in fear. You're simply making conscious choices about who and what you let into your space. A person who understands self-protection is someone who dares to ask questions of others, of the world, and most importantly, of themselves. They're not afraid to question norms or challenge assumptions that don't align with their values. They also have the courage to say no without guilt, recognizing that every time they set a boundary, they're honoring their own needs and limits. This kind of honesty isn't harsh, it's a powerful expression of clarity and self-worth. Equally important is the ability to walk away from toxic environments or harmful relationships. Whether it's a manipulative friend, a disrespectful partner, or a workplace that drains your spirit, self-protection gives you the strength to choose peace over prolonged pain. It's not about giving up, it's about recognizing when something is costing you more than it's worth and having the self-respect to leave. Conclusion: self-protection is a skill, not an instinct. No one is born knowing how to protect themselves. Self-protection is not an automatic instinct. It's a skill that must be learned, practiced, and continuously refined over time. It evolves with you, shaped by your experiences, your environment, and the specific challenges you face at different stages of life. What protects you in one context may not serve you in another. That's why self-protection isn't about rigid rules. It's about awareness, adaptability, and intentionality. Whether you're navigating personal relationships, workplace dynamics, or the digital world, your ability to protect your physical, emotional, and psychological well-being is essential to living a balanced and empowered life. It's not about shutting people out, it's about choosing who and what you let in on your own terms. The more you understand and honor your boundaries, the more space you create for authentic connection, growth, and peace of mind. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.